Welcome back to Get Financially Fit with Debbie Hancock. Today we're talking all about cash management and cash flow. Cash management isn't just an issue for small businesses, it also impacts big businesses and especially scaling and growth businesses. There's a quote, "Businesses don't fail, they simply run out of money." Business Insider claims that 82% of businesses fail as they run out of money. So what is cash flow and cash management? Cash flow is basically the money into the business, so it's flowing in, and then the money that you pay out, so money flowing out. So sales coming in and costs going out. So operational costs or tax costs, employee costs, your own costs, etc. And cash management system is how you manage that cash. So do you have a system in place, such as Profit First or the pot system? A way of ensuring that the money coming in is greater than the money going out and that you're planning for large costs that may happen. So you have VAT payments which happen quarterly, you have PAY payments, corporation tax payments, dividends payments to yourself. You might also have investment in machinery or software or large scale things within your business, and also investment in employees. So if you decide to get a new employee into the business, it's their salary, national insurance, pension, do they need a computer, what training do they need, what other associated costs are there in terms of their well-being, etc. So you can have money tied up in different parts of the business. So even though your business might be profitable, it might still be cash poor. And that can mean that your business can end up failing, simply because there's not enough cash in the business to sustain it. So you might be creating a profit and looking at your accounting system and thinking, well, hang on, I had a really good month, had a really good few months. How is there no cash in the business to pay the VAT bill when it falls due? The problem is sales doesn't equal cash. And I know you know this in logical terms, but when you're inside the business, you're the CEO of the business and you're running it, it can be difficult to handle all these different moving parts. So you're looking at the profit and loss and thinking, we're making good sales, costs are less, we're making a profit, why is there no cash? And it might be that you have long-term contracts, and so you've got payment plans in place or points of service, so you've achieved certain things and the client will pay you then. Or it might be that you've got payment plans to help people manage the costs over time. But that by helping them manage their costs and their cash, you're not necessarily managing your cash because the sales come in, but the cash hasn't followed. But you've still got costs within your business, so cash has to still flow out of your business. And there are different ways that you can look at improving your cash flow. So you can create more sales in your business. This was the one that everyone always thinks of. Bring in more sales, bring in more cash. But obviously that only works if people are paying you on the point of sale. You can chase up any invoices that are not being paid. I don't understand this long payment term process that people have in place. Some people are not getting paid for 90 days. If you've made the sale, you've delivered the service, why have you not been paid? Why are you not having shorter payment terms? Could you negotiate payment terms with your suppliers? So I know that some clients, they get the invoices in from their suppliers and they pay them straight away. And yes, that's a really good thing to do, helping your suppliers. However, if that invoice actually isn't expected to be paid for 7 days or 14 days, could you wait for 7 days or 14 days to pay that invoice? It actually reminds me of my son playing Supermarket Simulator. He is 9, and what he was doing is he was getting the cash in from selling in the supermarket, and then he was getting his supplier invoices in, and he was just paying them all on that day and leaving himself with no cash to then go and buy more stock. And we was like, well, why don't you just separate out the invoices and pay them actually when they're due, rather than paying them all early and leaving yourself without cash? So managing your payments to your suppliers rather than just paying them all as soon as they come in, paying them when they actually fall due, because you're not doing anything wrong. You're not paying late. We're not suggesting to pay late, but to pay on time rather than to pay early so that you can manage your cash flow a bit better? Can you have faster payment discounts? So giving people the opportunity to pay now rather than in X amount of time, and maybe they get a little bit of a discount on that because that discount is worth more to them and less to you because you're more interested in getting the cash in. Could you go to current clients or old clients and upsell to them, show them what else you can offer them and get more cash in that way? Could you look at cutting costs? And here I'm never talking about just cutting costs. I'm talking about strategically looking at your costs and understanding the ROI on those costs. So of course, if you're in business and you get all your sales through ad spend, then it's assuming you're getting a good ROI on that. Continue to invest in ad spend. Don't just cut it because then you're going to cut off your cash inflow. What we're looking at is costs that are not benefiting your business and actually could maybe be spent better elsewhere. I was talking about this with my hairdresser. She was saying what's important in business at the moment. And it really is building up that cash buffer and having that cash ready for if circumstances changes, bills go up. We don't always know what's happening in business. It's not always predictable. And understanding your cash runway. So how long can you cover costs without bringing any more cash in? So how many months can you cover your monthly costs without bringing extra cash in? It's a really important number to know because the more cash you have and the bigger your runway, the less pressure is on you to make decisions about the business. And that means you can make informed, smart decisions rather than making decisions from a real scarcity mindset, a real fear like, oh my God, we need to do this now, otherwise we're going to run out of cash. You could look at potentially using financing. So for a short term, maybe you could get some kind of merchant loans, or you can get loans to cover, say, the VAT, etc. One of my clients is using a loan where the provider takes a percentage of every sale. So that's how the loan is repaid. And many businesses, they will have like an accountant or a bookkeeper, and it'll be down to you to manage the cash as the CEO of the business. It might be that actually having a finance director or someone else in there whose part of their job is to manage the cash and help manage the forecast, ask the right questions, could really help your business. When I was in corporate, one of my roles was, when I was a junior, was to work with supply chain to really understand when invoices were going to come in from suppliers. So we're talking like multi-millions here, and we would need to pay in foreign currency. So we would have money set aside in currencies ready to mature on the date that we would have to pay that invoice. And so it was really important that we understood when that was, because it could have cost a lot of money if we don't get it right. So that was one part of my job. So obviously, as a smaller business, you can't have someone dedicated to doing those things, but it could be part of a bigger role within the business, say a part-time finance director, to help you understand your cash and manage your cash. If you wanted to do it yourself, one system that I recommend to my clients is along the profit first basis, or I call it the pot system. So it's really understanding what your VAT payments are. Quite a lot of businesses have sort of similar VAT payments each quarter, or rising by a certain percentage each quarter. So you could put away the money each quarter, or you could put away the money each month or each week towards that quarter bill. So then when the bill comes in, you've pretty much got the money. You might have a little bit less, you might have a little bit more, but you'll be there or thereabouts. I'm doing a webinar shortly with a software provider who actually automates that process for the VAT and puts a percentage away from every payment, so the money is sat there and ready to go. And then they put it into a high interest account, so the money isn't just sat there. So you could have tens of thousands of pounds just sat there, not earning anything. What they do is they put it into a high interest account, so you're earning money on it. Anyway, slightly distracted. And you could do this for other things. You could have a pot for VAT, corporation tax, getting ready for a new employee, because the likelihood is that when you get a new employee in, it's going to cost you a lot of money up front, and you're not necessarily going to see the ROI on that for a few months. So you need to cover those costs before the increase in cash flow coming into the business. You could save for your dividends. You could save for large investments. So it might be that you're buying equipment within the business. You want to increase your office size. You need to invest in some expensive software. You need to outsource something, whatever it is. You can put money into those pots and start saving for them. And with a lot of my clients, they've said something this simple really has helped them to feel more confident with their money, that they can pay their bills when they fall due, and they've improved their cash runway. So they've actually gone from having a couple of months of cash to more towards 6 months of cash. And by having that money in the business, it means they can make decisions in the right way, in an informed business decision, rather than a panicked decision and like, we need to get money in, what can I do? Oh, look at that shiny thing over there. I really need to buy that or invest in that person or that course or whatever it is, because I need cash in now. And it can also prevent you from having costly financing costs. You know, financing is not overly expensive at the moment, and for some businesses it is the right thing to do. But it might be that you don't want investment in the business, you don't want loans in the business. So therefore, having this cash runway gives you the options. So large corporations manage their cash, but they also manage it badly sometimes. As a small business owner, you have the opportunity to really understand the ins and outs of your cash flow. And it's so important because that also impacts your personal cash flow. It's not just a big corporation who might have a head office who can help out if required. It will become down to you. If you can't pay your employees' salaries, that comes down to you to do the responsible thing and find the money to pay them. And therefore, that might come down to you personally financing the business. And we don't want to be in that position. We want to be in a position where the business is, financing itself through cash. And remember that even profitable businesses can have cash management problems, because this is why I like the pot system, because sometimes business owners can see that large money in the bank. I've got 100 grand in the bank, I'll be okay. Actually, they're not accounting for the fact that the corporation tax might be 25 grand and their VAT bill is 30 grand a quarter. That's big sums of money. Suddenly that 100 grand isn't looking so big, is it? So even if you've got £1 million, £2 million turnover, if you are not managing the cash properly, your business in the long term will not survive. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you would like to understand more about the pot system, then send me a DM and I can send you a short video a little bit more about it. Until next time, have a good day.